Welcome to Curated Spaces, the podcast that explores the stories behind the spaces reimagining how we stay, work and play. Join me, Molly Cooper, as I sit down with founders, owners and thought leaders to hear about their journey of bringing a space to life. Great spaces shape our lives. They inspire, nurture and connect us. But most importantly, they bring us together to share life's milestones with the people who mean the most to us. So, whether you're a traveller, foodie or design seeker, join us as we celebrate the power of spaces and the brilliant people behind them. Today I'm in the heart of the Cotswolds at Whatley Manor, a cluster of honeycomb buildings and walled gardens where guests can enjoy free restaurants, a spa and even a private cinema. And I'm delighted to welcome Michele Melle, Whatley Manor's General Manager, who has spent the past 20 years working in hotels including Claridge's, Dorchester and Barnsley. Michele, welcome to the podcast. It's such a pleasure to be chatting with you today. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you very much. Good afternoon and thank you for having me today.
Oh, such a pleasure. And I have to say, what a week to come, because the whole hotel is being deep cleaned.
It certainly has, and that's something that we do every year. We take a good 7-10 days to spruce up the place and making sure that we look our best throughout for the rest of the year, really.
Yeah, well, you can come and do my flat next if you like.
Thank you.
And before we get into this really quite lovely hotel and hear all about it, I'd love to start with you and hear about your journey and how you've ended up here in the Cotswolds.
Thank you. I've been in the industry for a fair few years. I grew up in Italy and worked in places like Hotel Excelsior in Lido, Venice, Hotel Due Torri in Verona. Ended up in Munich for a good couple of years, and then ended up traveling to the UK and settled in London, where I worked at Claridge's and the Dorchester for altogether 10 years. After that, I decided to move to the countryside. I met my wife-to-be in London, and we came and settled in Stroud, which is where she grew up. And from then on, I ended up working for the Caldecott collections, including 12 years at Barnsley House as the GM.
You've got some really good names there in your CV. What a journey from Italy to Brixton and now in the Cotswolds.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly where I lived. 10 years in Brixton, worked in Claridge at Dorchester, absolutely loved London. But once we started the family, the calling of the countryside was too strong for me.
Yeah, a bit of fresh air.
Absolutely.
And I'd love to hear what drew you to hospitality then, because that's quite a long time to work in hospitality in these amazing hotels. What do you love about it? What draws you to it?
I think hospitality really it's a vocation first and foremost. I always describe hospitality as being in part art form and in part artisan crafts. The artisan crafts element is really related to the services that we provide. But through repetition, we learn to deliver those services to the highest of standards. If you're a chef, you learn butchering, filleting, prepping, fermenting, front of house staff learn to make coffee, cocktails, foraging for botanicals, making drinks, spa therapists, doing massages. So everything is hand-based, so handcrafted. The art element, in my view, comes from the spontaneous act of elevating someone's experiences.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about personalizations, and that's what, in my mind, sometimes you don't even need to create something new or give something new to a guest. Simply making them feel unique and all important. That's where the art comes from.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was saying last night to someone that actually it's so lovely going to a hotel, is that really personal, the warmth of the welcome, stepping into a space that's buzzing with energy, people remembering you're welcome back, which you don't get in an Airbnb or a holiday rental, do you?
You're right. And I think, I describe it as unscripted hospitality. It has to be genuine. It has to come from the heart. That's what I treasure the most. That's what I believe in. That's what I like to see in my hotels. And, what makes me happy is seeing people happy around me, be it guests or team members. And the element of conviviality that you can only get in hotels and restaurants, as you said, when they're buzzing, is something special, something that I treasure. It comes from my background, being Italian as well. We love nothing more than sitting around a table with food and wines and letting the time go by, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you guys have got a good thing going when it comes to long lunches.
We certainly do,
yeah. Oh, well, let's get into Whatley Manor then, because it's really quite a remarkable building. You come down this gorgeous tree-lined driveway, and there's a little cluster of buildings sort of peek out. It's sort of like little topsy-turvy roofs and gardens and lawns. And then we came in through the sort of the old stable yard, I imagine, that beautiful green lawn, all the old stables. And this beautiful manor sort of pops up out of nowhere. And it's really quite topsy-turvy, beautiful old buildings. I'd love to hear all about it.
Yeah, well, firstly, I mean, the location as well, I think, is very important to know where we are, really. And, we're only a couple of miles outside Barnsley, which is said to be the oldest continually inhabited town in England, full of independent shops and many high street brands. So good place to visit. And we're only about 10 minutes away from Tetbury, which is another great market town, particularly famous for its antiques. As you know, just outside Tetbury, we have Highgrove, His Majesty King Charles' residence for the past 30 years. So,
well, if it's good enough for Charles,
if it's good enough for our king, it has to be good enough for everyone. And I think it's very fitting that location-wise, we are sitting between Malmesbury and Tetbury, the home of our current king, and Malmesbury Abbey is actually the resting place of Athelstan, the first king of England, from back in 939. So very fitting, I think, as a location. We couldn't ask for more, really. So in terms, as I said, of locations, we are perfectly placed for, very central in England as well. I think that's really quite special. And the hotel itself, I think the building itself dates back to the 18th century. Actually, it's not that. It's Grade 2 building, Grade 2 listed building, full of history. It started off as the residence of the Lord of Easton Gray, which is the hamlet just outside Malmesbury, where we are associated with. Over time, various buildings have been added to it, and the estate was enlarged. Very, very important during the First World War. The Hold became a packing station for boxes of leggings, galoshes, and Red Cross parcel destined for the front. So, a very strong link there with what was going on during the war. A key moment in time in the history of the place was in the 1920s, when a Canadian, Mr. Cox, who became the deputy master of the Burford Hunt, developed the estate, used it for the hunt, but also added more land and outer building to the estate, and including the coach house and the Tudor wing that we currently house some of our bedrooms. And started actually developing the ornamental gardens also, which are now a very important part. So in most recent history, I think we've had the current owners who, in the 80s fell in love with the property when they were visiting their son, who was competing at badminton post-trial. He was representing Switzerland and competing at international level. And they fell in love with it and decided to buy it up when it came up for sale, and painstakingly, brought it back to its former glory, creating this amazing building that we have today with, 23 bedrooms, 20 distinctive gardens, all inspired by the 1920s design at the height of the art and crafts movement.
Oh, how amazing. And it always amazes me when you go around these hotels. They are all such labours of love, because these are big buildings. Like you see today, everything needs to be stripped back and cleaned and fixed, and the upkeep is never ending. And it always comes from someone with such a strong attachment or love of the place, and they just want to restore it to the full glory. And I think that's such a beautiful sort of premise to build a space and create a space around. I know you're still very new, but I imagine it's changed a lot over the past, 40 years now?
Well, it was a hotel in the 80s, and then in 2003 it reopened its doors under the current ownership. So we only celebrated last year our 20th anniversary, and despite some elements of sprucing up that happens every year, The building pretty much now has been in its current format now for about 20 years.
Okay,
So
wow.
it's well lived in,
Yeah.
and that's what we love about the place. That you genuinely feel like coming to someone's house. The owners absolutely love art. They love design. And if it's good enough for their homes, it's good enough for the hotel, and vice versa. So I think it stands out in that respect from any other country house hotels, which are very designer-led or practicality-led, whilst for us, it's genuinely a home that we want to make it work for our guests as well as ourselves.
I think you really get that sense of home when you walk in. It's like there's a very small reception area, but then you go straight through to all these like beautiful lounges, looking out over the grounds. It's all very cozy, beautiful paneling, those big windows. And you sort of kind of want to snuggle up on a chair in front of the fire and get your book out or something.
That's exactly what we want. We want people to, it is a luxury hotel, 5-star, all the service that you can possibly imagine, from 24-hour room service, valet parking, high level of dining experiences. It's all there. It's all there. But as I mentioned earlier, we genuinely believe in unscripted hospitality. We love nothing better than people coming in, lounging around and kicking their shoes off and put their feet up and relax. I think that's exactly what we're trying to achieve.
Which is what we all go on holiday for, isn't it? A bit of a break.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I'd love to hear a bit about the food and the drink then, because you've got several spaces to try out, don't you, here?
Yes, absolutely, yeah. We have our dining room, which is our Michelin star restaurant. Ricky Weston is our executive chef. He's an incredible chef and definitely one to watch in my view. I'm slightly biased because I'm the GM here, but I really, really believe that his skill set and his ability to create incredible food offerings is quite unique. And I think he's got this incredible ability to use fresh produce, local produce, and create menus where the main ingredients on the plates really talk. He doesn't try to fuss too much over individual dishes and just let the ingredients talk primarily. Said there, his skill set is really high, and he can actually create complexity in dishes as well, that to elevate the whole experience. Incidentally, it's just working now. We are relaunching now in February now with the reopening. We're just pushing up the restaurant as we speak, the dining room with the new color schemes and a few other light touches, and he's going to launch a complete new menu, which, Ricky and the team are sort of like fine-tuning the last few bits of the menu, and alongside the sommelier Manuel and Claire, the food and beverage manager, we are sort of like finalizing the flight of wine to go alongside the tasting menu, which I'm very happy to get involved with. So whenever there are wines, I'm always more than happy to get involved and express my opinion.
So, well, you had me at Wine Flight. That sounds great. Have you had a sneak peek at what's going to be on the menu? Or was it
we have, yes, and we're going to keep that under wrap for another couple of weeks. Watch the space. I think it's all going to be revealed in a couple of weeks' time. Alongside that, we also have Gray's Restaurants, which is a sort of like more sociable dining experience in a very relaxed setting. Basically, you get the best of both because everything is cooked by Ricky and his team. We only have one kitchen, so the food for the dining room is also reflected in Gray. So you get high skill sets delivering really high quality food. It just is a more relaxed environment. It's full a la carte. Great place to have Sunday lunch, and we try to amend and adapt the menu based on the seasonality and what's available out there.
And you're spoilt for choice around here, aren't you? In the heart of the Cotswolds, so many local producers and farmers, just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, we thanks to His Majesty King Charles, who started the whole organic movement back in the 90s. Actually, I think we are now almost like taking for granted that everything that grows on our doorsteps is actually of the highest quality. So we can rely on local produce and producers without having to compromise on quality. I think that's a nice place to be, really. And, sea, land, you name it. I think we are incredibly blessed, I think, with what this country can offer. And certainly here in the southwest, I think we're perfectly placed to get fresh produce on our doorstep.
Definitely. And I saw your little kitchen garden as we were walking around earlier.
We got a little kitchen garden. Our garden team and Chef Ricky already plotted, the first crops and micro herbs and anything that we can get into the kitchen. And that's always an exciting time of the year. So like trying to plan ahead and put into the ground what really we want to grow for the kitchens in the months to come. So yeah, all very exciting.
I love that. And then we also, as we were walking around, we saw the little chef's counter, which is that incredible sort of green curved bar. It looked very appealing, I have to say.
That's another super offering that we have here, the green room. It's a huge horseshoe shaped show kitchen where Ricky and his team can actually produce food in front of the guests. And we've had a number of events recently and more to come in the weeks and months to come. We try to use that as much as possible, really. Yeah. We've got a special event coming up actually on the 6th of March with Charles Cullenburr. It's a 4 hands dinner with Ricky, our executive chef, and Charles, who owns Le Maison dans le Parc, which is a restaurant in Nancy. It's the only Michelin star restaurant in Nancy. And Charles honed his skills in England. He was a great Thai for a few years, and now he started his own business, his own restaurant. So Ricky went to see him a month ago and did a 4 hands dinner in his place, and he's coming over now in March to reciprocate. So that's the sort of place that we try to use as much as possible for special events and fun evenings where we can all joyfully sit around the table, see them cooking and eating and drinking in good company.
It's like wife swap, but chef swap.
Well, that kind of thing. Yeah, exactly.
How fun! Oh my gosh, that sounds like an absolute hoot. And as well as food and drink, you have so much to do here. As we were walking around, there was all the gardens. I love a garden, all the grounds, the croquet lawn. Yeah. And then we popped into the cinema, the screening room.
We've got this amazing cinema as well, correct. Yeah, it is a proper cinema. It's not just a glorified screening room. We've got this luxurious suede lined interior with Italian leather custom finished seating by Poltrona Frau. It's really high end. Acoustically as well, the environment is all well controlled, so you can really get amazing sound. And more importantly, we've got a library with about 600 titles. So all you have to do is take yourself to the cinema. We set it all up. We get the popcorns going. And the beauty is that you don't have to just rely on soft drinks. You can order something a bit stronger as well.
You can get drunk in the back row.
I didn't want to say that, but
that sounds
all is possible, yeah.
What a lovely night in if you come to relax and recoup, just to sit down, whack an old favourite on and tuck into your popcorn. Sounds brilliant.
That's what we want.
And that was in part of the stable sort of courtyard quad bit. And then just over there you had the spa, which I have to say today had been half emptied of its water, which was really cool, and a massive paddling pool outside on the lawn. Yes,
well, it goes back to our sustainability as well. We there is work to be done, and most businesses probably would have just pulled the plug and let the water go. Actually, we saved all the water.
Amazing.
We hired this 2 temporary pools, so all the water has been saved. And once the work is finished, we simply backtrack it, put it back in and filter it as you would anyway. And, we would have saved a fair amount of water there. So, but the Aquarius Spa, it's an incredible space. We've got members. It's open to the public for half-day spas, treatments, and so on and so forth. Of course, open to our hotel guests. He's been in current format for now 20 years. Big news is that in 2025, we're definitely going to be doing some major work there. So we are looking at all the heat experiences, modernizing them and tweaking it, and perhaps even expanding the spa outwardly into the garden a little bit more. So more to watch. You'll have to come back for that one.
Absolutely.
So
you don't have to ask me twice. Yeah.
But it is the sort of place where one can come, relax. We moved away from manicure and also like beauty treatments. And now we are absolutely focusing entirely on wellness. Exactly that. So we have classes that we organize very regularly with yoga, meditations, and apart from that, it's all about the body and soul, really.
So important, because I feel like you're right. There has been this huge shift away from outer skin level beauty to like deeper wellness. People are getting in a great space, physically, mentally, and it's incredible that spaces like this are sort of leading that charge. I think that's very
absolutely cool. And I think that's what the market dictates. That's what the people want. But we all still nursing our wounds from COVID, and I think we all realize now that we lead hectic lifestyles, no matter who we are, what industry we are in, and time to reconnect, time to disengage with technology, and the fast pace that we need to think at is important. And I think hotels are a bit of a sanctuary now, where we can actually retract and try to do as little as possible. I love hotels. We spent the last 20 years trying to pack in as much as possible into hotels' experiences, and now I think it's a time when actually we should be advocating doing as little as possible. And I've always been a great advocate that actually hotels should be offering that opportunity, and it is a bit of a sanctuary. And in a spa environment, I think a bit of pampering and then just enjoy and let time go by, I think is key.
I think that's so important, and actually we are all so rubbish at doing nothing. We're all terrible, especially when you're at home. There's always that, I've been meaning to fix that thing or do that thing or I'll just do that email. Whereas actually something about going to a hotel, it just makes you stop and slow down and just take it all in and eat good food and connect properly with the people you're with. And it's so important. And I think people are really, like you say, post-COVID, really reassessing how they live and how they want to live.
I don't think we do enough of that, frankly. There's still an element of people feeling it's often the case when we go away, for a weekend and you come back and your family and friends ask you what you've been up to at the weekend. And if you mention I've been away and if you said you've done nothing, they look at you as if you've done something wrong. And I think actually it's something that we are learning to appreciate more and more. Actually switching off and relaxing, I think is key.
That was actually one of my New Year's goals. Now we're mentioning it was to switch off more and do nothing more, and let the brain work its magic and put all those loose ends together and work things out for me. So there we go. You've just reaffirmed my New Year's resolution. Thank you very much. And I'd love to go back to what you mentioned earlier with the spa and how you've saved all that water, which is amazing. I know sustainability has been really at the core of Whatley Manor for years. So I'd love to hear a bit about how you've woven that in. It feels like you've been a bit ahead of your time here at Whatley Manor.
We are. I mean, we are definitely, our eco-friendly credentials are second to none in the English countryside, for sure. We are confident that our approach in delivering luxury in a sustainable manner, it's the way forward. We absolutely want to demonstrate that luxury and sustainability can coexist. And even though our demographic is probably not quite in line with the expectation of the millennials and the Generation Z, those are people who are definitely coming to work here now. And definitely those are the customers, if not immediate now, in the next 5 to 10 years. So we need to invest now for the long term. That's what the owners want, and that's what we've been working hard. We started a journey here. We started back in 2019 when Sue Williams, the formerly GM of Whatley, and now supporting us in a consultancy basis, started this journey. It was basically pivotal for us at the beginning to really being able to calculate our green gas emissions. That's the first step for anyone who's really serious about it. And through two major bodies called EarthCheck and Greenly, both of which are leader accreditation and benchmarking bodies, we were able, through the rigorous and scientific approach to data analysis, we were able to really quantify how much carbon we had left in our business. Then through a program called NOW, Climate Positive Program in 2023, we were able to access carbon offsets projects. And that's by securing carbon credit, which are gold standards, high integrity carbon credits, we are now able to offset what's remaining left in our carbon, in our business, basically. So we are able to offset, we are able to support projects. Currently, what we offset has gone towards a cook stove project in Kenya through a company called Coco, which provides the distribution infrastructure, cook stove, and bioethanol fuel supplied to the communities in Kenya. Those communities would have relied on coal and wood historically for cooking. And most of the cooking would have happened in enclosed spaces, so not probably the healthiest way of cooking. So such projects helps communities far and wide around the world to overcome some of the challenges that the United Nations through the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals, are trying to address. And we want to help as much as we can. In this case, by associating with Coco and what they're doing in Kenya, there are four key Sustainable Development Goals that you're addressing. One is good health and well-being, because they're obviously stopping people from using coal on open fire in an enclosed space. Gender equality, the reality is it would have been women, going out every day, walking for miles, trying to find wood to take back home and do the cooking. Create clean energy. Bioethanol fuel is much cleaner, and no emissions there. And climate actions. It's a fact that in sub-Saharan Africa there's a lot of deforestation going on, simply used for cooking and heating. So I think that there is a little bit that we can try to do for the environment. And when it comes to sustainability, we look at ourselves, we look at what we can do to help our teams, the local community, and it's just a mindset. We're trying to really hard to focus on best practices, really. And so we don't just talk the talk, we walk the walk.
And I think that's so brilliant, isn't it, that these spaces, because hotels, there's so much to it. You can get down, from the little, remember how toiletries used to be, those little disposable plastic ones. Now everyone has the big bottles, and how you can get down to the tiniest little details, but you can do that in bedrooms, in food, in spa.
Totally.
It's in, the number of levels that you can look at from a new angle is incredible. It's such a huge project. It's amazing to hear you're really sort of
there's a lot of low-hanging fruits there. Most hotels, most businesses nowadays are sort of approaching the subject and trying to do the right thing. We certainly don't want to be accused of greenwashing. So everything, the key is being able to measure what you're doing. If you're not good at something, you must be able to say, well, actually, that's the impact that has on the environment. And that bit by bit, you just need to question yourself, your practices. And when you're looking at capital investment, always look at ways that, you want to decarbonize your business. And obviously those are long-term projects. And that's something that our owners is always very supportive of us. And that's something that we are now considering alternative to what we've got currently, in line with the project in the SPA in 2025. But there is a lot that can be done. Little steps can go a long way to actually help the environment and becoming sustainable. And meaning sustainable means also as a business. You want still to be able to make money. So, it has to be a financially viable alternative to the way we've done business historically. So it's a way of adapting to the current reality. And sustainability is not just a buzzword, it's something that we all need to accept and become part of the culture of everyday's governance of businesses, I think.
Yeah, and what a brilliant mentality to have. And
Thank you.
Kind of leads into my next question, which is the next chapter here at Whatley Manor, and what that looks like. Yeah,
I think this year, I've only been here 4 months now, and Sir Williams, my predecessor, has done an incredible job. So I'm inheriting a good team and inheriting a property that, it's beautiful. There's nothing major that needs to be done really, apart from the odd sprucing up here and there as it happens now. So for me, this year is about consolidation and strengthening the team. The big news is that we are now opening Grays 7 days a week. Up until now, it's been operating 5 days a week. So we're going to have our food and beverage available 7 nights instead of the 5 that we've had during 2023. And we're also launching a new afternoon tea concept. Basically, we're going to be serving afternoon tea from noon until 4, 7 days a week instead of 4 days a week for 3 hours in the afternoon. The idea is really to reconnect with the local community, making sure they know that we are open for business 7 days a week, and for hotel guests to be able to have a nice dinner 7 nights a week instead of the 4 nights that we are currently doing. So that's exciting. As I said, Ricky is launching his new menus in February. We've got special evenings. I think those are all things that we are lining up for 2024.
Oh, well, it sounds like a very exciting time and lots to come back for. A new menu, maybe a new spa.
Yeah.
Well, you'll be seeing me again, Michele.
Well, one area that we're also working hard is Emmanuel Ribeiro is an incredible sommelier. He's been with us 7 or 8 months, and we share a lot of passions actually on style of wine, type of wines that we want. And I have to say, hopefully none of my barmen will listen to me, but I'm growing quite tired of cocktails, and please don't tell too many people. But I always love wines, and I've had a fair few glasses over the years, and we both Manuel and I absolutely appreciate the ever-growing trend for low-intervention wines. There's definitely a better understanding, appreciations amongst the public, really, for biodynamic, organic, natural, and to a lesser extent, orange wines. And we're working hard in evolving our wine list to having more and more such wines featuring on our wine list. So that's something very exciting that, Manuel is driving, and I'm fully behind him on that project. So there'll be more wines, low intervention wines on our wine list than ever before.
How exciting. God, you're bringing all those trendy wine bars to Whatley.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I always say that, I always look to London for inspirations. And I look at the high street for inspirations, and I look at London in particular for the food and wine scene. And you are seeing wine bar springing up again. And I remember in the late 80s, early 90s, when I lived in London, there were a few wine bars around. It was quite common. Dare I say that the quality of wines back then was not quite as good as one would expect. But the whole concept of actually, convivially get together and sit around a table with a bottle of wine and sharing a few glasses, I think is something that is coming back. And I think it leads more to the whole concept of being together, I think, rather than cocktail, because you can share a bottle of wine, you can sample wines. And I love that. So
that's a really lovely way of looking at it. I love that, how you're sharing this one thing, this one moment, and at the end of the day, it's so good for the soul, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, well, it's been such a pleasure.
Or two.
Or 2, or 3. Who are we?
Depending how many we are in the room.
Yeah, why put a limit on it? Oh, it's been so lovely to chat, Michele.
Thank
I do,
you.
of course, have a closing tradition.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you 3 questions, and you imagine you've cashed that winning lottery check. So goodbye, Whatley. He's off. Number 1,
Sorry, guys.
Yes. See, 4 months in and he's off. So number 1, where are you running away to disconnect and to detox?
Oh, okay. It probably depends which time of the year it is. If it's summer, it has to be the Dolomites. I love my cycling, and I know lots of people associate the Alps and the Dolomites in particular with skiing and winter holidays. I think people are missing a trick. If you've never been to the Dolomites or any part of the Alps in the summer, you're missing out on something. It is absolutely special. And if you love hiking, cycling, or just good fresh air and good food, I can't think of a better place. If it's winter, I have to say Jamaica, either in the parish of Portland or St. Elizabeth's. Not the seaside, up in the hills, you absolutely get the best time of your life. I've had many memories of winter days spent in Jamaica. Waking up in the morning, picking your mangoes and bananas and oranges from a tree for your breakfast. I think you can't beat that. And if you accompany that by Blue Mountain coffee, I can't think of a better way of starting a day. So those would be my 2.
Very very strong answers. Setting the bar high for your other answers. Also, it sounds like we'll find you up a hill then, that mountain air hill.
Yes, I need to be slightly. Even I live in Stroud on top of a hill. You never find me.
Never at sea level. Yeah.
Never at sea. I like to go to the sea, but not living too close to the sea.
Next one's slightly different.
Yeah.
Your ultimate birthday party. Where would you be hosting it?
That's a nice one. My ultimate birthday party, I think I would like to have that on the common in Minchinhampton Common near Stroud.
Like a proper garden party.
It's a common. It's open to the public, and I always find it very amusing. It's an incredible space, and it's home to a public golf course. But because it's a common, local farmers and tenants have the right to take their cows up on the common to graze. So you have golfers and cows all blending together, and I can't think of a better place where you can have a jolly good party as well, just to throw in some extra challenges for the golfers.
Yeah, just watch out.
You could probably tell that I don't play golf.
Watch out for flying golf balls and cow pats.
Absolutely.
It'd be great. Yeah. And then finally, your once in a lifetime bucket list trip. Where are you heading? And are you going to stay anywhere special?
Yeah, I would like to go to Asia. I haven't been there. Probably Vietnam would be my country.
Yes.
I would love to spend a couple of months there. I think the varietal that you can get from north to south, it's a very complex country, lots to offer, and I would love to make that trip of a lifetime.
Lots of history, lots of culture, lots of food, lots of mountains for you.
Yeah, lots of mountains, exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah, mountains that always have to feature in some form.
Oh, well, that sounds brilliant. I hope you get your trip to Vietnam.
Thank you.
It's been such a pleasure chatting. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to this Curated Spaces episode. And if you've enjoyed listening, please do hit that follow or subscribe button. It helps so much with finding new brilliant partners who keep the podcast going so that we can keep sharing the stories behind all of these amazing spaces. And if you are looking for more content, you can find links in the show notes to both our Instagram and Substack, or you can subscribe for our weekly roundup of slow travel and under the radar finds. Now go and crack on with booking that next trip, and I'll catch you next time for more Curated Spaces.